Okay, so let's get started. I'm Margaret. I'm the Special Collections Librarian at the Butler Area Public Library, and Tiffany and I will be doing this program together today about bullet journaling. Journaling is obviously a very good way to record your thoughts. It can be very therapeutic. It can be a good way to have a record to look back on. And from a historical perspective, since I am the archivist and the genealogist at the library, I'm always very interested in how we record what's happening to ourselves and sort of society at large. Journaling can be a really good way for you to be able to look back on events in your life and look at them later on, a year from now, several years from now, and also have that sort of stuff available for your children and other family members to know what daily life was like. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a big experience like the coronavirus experience that we're all sharing right now. I know a lot of historians right now are looking back at records from the 1918 flu pandemic. I know we're kind of focused on sort of sickness right now, but journals are an amazing way to get an idea of daily life all across the board. So there's a great book by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich called A Midwife's Tale that is based all just on a colonial midwife's day-to-day life and medical practice that is so historically significant. We have Civil War journals that tell us the day-to-day nitty-gritty of what it was like in the war and in all of the downtimes between it that are so significant. And we do just get an idea of what our life was like, what our parents' lives and just general people's lives were like by looking at their journals. So it can be a really good way for you to preserve these experiences. In the document that I sent, there are some journaling prompts specific to right now what's going on that came from the Wisconsin Historical Society. They include talking about your reactions to changes to your routine, what it's like working from home, what it's like having kids not in school, what it feels like experiencing the news, things like that, what you're doing to stay in good spirits, new hobbies you've learned, stuff that you're cooking. You can kind of keep track of anything. There's also an article from the University of Virginia about why it might be good to keep a record of what life is like during this time. And then obviously this can just be for you and it can just be for your own personal record. But if you do want to put it out there or anything from this experience to share it, Slippery Rock University is doing a community archive project called Shared Voices, Shared Experiences. And anybody from Western Pennsylvania can contribute to it. And so in the second page of that document there is the link to submit stuff and just look at the things that other people from Butler have uploaded. So it's everything from journal entries and blog posts to pictures while they're working from home, copies of social media posts, things like that. So that's sort of the context of why journals can be so important to you and to society at large. Oh yeah, Linda, it's Laura Thatcher Ulrich. I will copy her name and the name of the book title, and so I spell it right, and I'll put it in the chat. What I'm going to do now is turn it over to Tiffany, and she's going to teach us about bullet journaling itself.
All right. Thank you so much, Margaret, for giving us sort of the context of why journaling is important, not just from a personal perspective, but from a historical perspective. Today, we are focusing on a very specific type of journaling called bullet journaling. And bullet journaling differs from what we traditionally think of as journaling. When I think of journaling, I think of literally sitting down and writing in longhand what's going on that day or at that time. And while some people really flourish journaling in that style, not everyone does. I know I personally have a very hard time sitting down and just writing sort of freely about how the day is going or how I'm dealing with a specific situation. So when I first learned about bullet journaling, it really appealed to me. Bullet journaling, as the name implies, is taking the experience of journaling and the types of information you would traditionally include in journaling and boiling it down to bullet points. So they can be, you know, they don't have to be full sentences. It doesn't have to be in paragraph form. It could be one list that focuses on one topic at one time. And if you are a person that likes to make lists, I suspect that bullet journaling will really appeal to you, because that really is how you bullet journal, is you make a series of lists. Another reason that bullet journaling is appealing to a lot of people is it is very free form and it allows you to be very creative. There is a huge visual aspect to bullet journaling in addition to the words that you are putting down on the page. So I ordered a kit from Amazon that is sort of like a basic bullet journaling kit. It came with a journal, it came with some pens, and it came with a bunch of stencils. But honestly, all you need to bullet journal is some paper and some colored pencils or pens or markers. You do want to consider incorporating color a little bit into your bullet journal, because it is intended to be a more visual form of journaling. And you don't have to have a special bullet journal. The one that I ordered, the pages have dots on them that make sort of a grid. That is very helpful for some of the bullet journaling techniques, but you don't have to have anything that specific. You could use notebook paper, you could use printer paper, really any paper that you have access to is fine for bullet journaling. And when you are doing a bullet journal, the best part of it is it's totally up to you how you want it structured. So each sort of page spread in your journal, so a 2-page spread like this, is going to focus on something specific. It could be a specific month. It could be a specific week. It could be a specific thing that you want to track. So I did a sample layout on my bullet journal for things that I might track in the month of May. So I have a 2-page spread here, and on this side, I have the month and the year. And then I have the days of May, the dates listed down the side, and I intend for this to be a daily check-in. And you can see I have used some graphics. These are the stencils that came with this particular kit to make it a more visually appealing layout here. So some of the things that I intend to track on a daily basis are, am I meditating daily? Am I exercising daily? What is the weather like daily? How is my daily sleep? What's my daily water intake? And what is my daily mood? And the way I can fill this in, I can either use words for some of the columns like what is my mood, or I can fill in squares. So if I meditated for the first 5 days of May, I would completely fill in a little square next to each of the dates on the left-hand side. So that is one way that you could structure like a month's check-in. On the other side of that 2-page spread, I have some more general things that I want to keep in mind for the month of May. So I have a few goals listed here of things that I would like to have completed by the time the month is over. I have some important dates listed over here, a couple of birthdays and an anniversary. And then I have this big open section down here because that is where the free form nature of bullet journaling will come into play. You can set a layout ahead of time, and that will sort of guide how you are tracking specific data, but you also want to leave some room on there for growth to add additional thoughts, pictures. You could talk about something that you learned during the month of May, some project that you worked on, because none of us really completely schedules our life out that specifically. We want to leave room for changes and growth. So this is an example of like a 1-month spread that you could do. You could also do this on a weekly basis. You could track all kinds of things. You could track your mood. You could track the temperature outside. If you were someone who unfortunately got ill during this pandemic, it might be very helpful to track your symptoms and your temperature and the actions that you took. Or if you are someone who wants to keep a historical record of how it progressed in our area, you could do daily tracking of, diagnosed cases. You could keep track of things like how the gas price has changed since the pandemic has started. So there is a lot of information that you can keep track of in bullet journal form. And I really like it because, again, there is that visual aspect to it. And you don't have to be a great artist. I am not a great artist. So I was really excited that I was able to purchase a kit that came with stencils. There are tons and tons and tons of resources on the internet about bullet journaling, and they are very, very helpful. And I encourage you all to look at them if you are interested in pursuing bullet journaling as a practice. However, I do want to caution you, please don't get caught up in the picture perfect nature of all of the resources and examples that you find on the internet, because a lot of bullet journals that are shown on the internet are very beautiful and very elaborate and have these huge creative artistic spreads. And that's lovely and wonderful, but that doesn't have to be the case for your journal. You shouldn't feel like you have a standard to meet for this visual aspect of your journal. The important part of journaling, as Margaret told us, is having that record. And I would rather have an imperfectly drawn record of my mood over the course of the month of May than to have this beautifully curated Instagram perfect record of something that didn't really mean anything to anyone. So that is just sort of a general overview of bullet journaling. Like I said, there are tons of resources available on the internet, but my best advice to you is, if you are interested in bullet journaling, just grab a notebook and start. It doesn't matter if you don't have colored pencils or pens or markers. Sketch it out in pencil. Think about what information do you really want to keep track of over the next week or the next month, and start creating your layouts based on that. I think things, much like Margaret mentioned, that would be interesting to track are: how has your life changed since we have had the stay-at-home order? What is it like working from home? How is your family handling this change? How is your neighborhood adapting to this change? What are the positive stories that you have really taken inspiration from during this time? What are your frustrations? What are your hopes for the future? These are the types of things that I think would be very helpful to track, as well as just a way to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Am I drinking 8 glasses of water a day? Am I getting at least 3 sessions of 30 minutes of exercise a week? Am I making sure that I am eating healthy foods all day long? So it's a good way to take care of yourself as well as keep a historical record. So I hope that this has been helpful and interesting to all of you. If you have any questions about either the information that Margaret talked about in terms of a historical record and archival nature of journaling, or any of the information that I talked about in terms of bullet journaling techniques, we are very happy to answer any questions either in the chat, or you can reach out to us by emailing us at the library. You can reach Margaret by emailing her at mhewitt, that's MHEWITT, at bcfls.org, or you can email me at tharkleroad, that's THARKLEROAD, at bcfls.org. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing how your bullet journaling adventures are going. Have a great day.